Right, hi everybody, Nigel Bowden from the UK. A few of you may know me as Wi-Fi Nigel off Twitter, and I've been blogging for quite a few years now and do the Wi-Fi for Beginners podcast, so you may recognise the voice if you've happened to stumble across the podcast. Today's presentation that I'm presenting is, I'm doing a bit of a favour really for my UK friends cucumbertoon. They're a startup based in the UK, and they've won another round of funding, and they've all gone over to Germany for a little bit of incubation activity. So I said as I was coming over and they couldn't get here, I'd do a little presentation for them. There's quite a few people in the room I know already. Quite a few people in the room I know already fairly familiar with cucumbertoon. They actually provide a cloud-based Wi-Fi solution, and you could say, okay, well, who doesn't these days? But I think the thing that makes them particularly interesting is the fact that they have actually tailored their solution to manage OpenWRT and LED devices. The other thing that's very interesting about them is that they actually offer a free package subscription, so that you can anybody can get on there and manage devices for free. They obviously provide free paid premium services as well, but you get a surprisingly feature-rich set of features for free. And also they provide what they describe as a community-based paperweight recycling service. You may have seen some of their blog posts and tweets. They're very fond of getting hold of access points, which are which have been used for subscription-based, cloud-based, cloud-managed services, and managing to sort of reflash them and remanage them. I think this is their latest addition to their collection, which they were telling me about recently. But you may have seen some of their blog posts, etc., which you can see they've also managed to get into a few things like some of the Meraki APs. Okay, so just to give a little bit of background, most people I think probably know what OpenWRT is. Basically, it's a Linux distribution for embedded devices. Typically, you find it on a lot of wireless routers, and a lot of the routers they've managed to actually reflash have been based on OpenWRT. That's why it's been so straightforward for them to get their own code on there. And also LEDE, which is actually a fork of the OpenWRT project. And I believe these two projects are actually now unifying and coming back under a single project. So just a quick bit of background before we get onto the SocketMan part of the presentation. The way the CT solution currently works, basically, we have to reflash an AP. As I say, there's a whole range of APs which support OpenWRT, and we basically have to reflash it with a slightly modified version of OpenWRT, and they've just got a little bit of proprietary code in there to allow them to do the cloud management aspect of it. And once we flashed it with that, as with any other sort of cloud managed service, it'll find its way back to their cloud management service. So just very briefly, this is what it sort of looks like pictorially. You've just got some OpenWRT APs which have been flashed with a binary that's been supplied by CT, which is OpenWRT with their own proprietary code embedded into a single image, and finds its way back over the internet to the Cucumber cloud management service. So the problem that they've got is that for each access point that they want to support, they've actually got to keep rebuilding dedicated binaries, which is pretty difficult from a scalability point of view, because you've got to keep compiling a binary for each board type. And as there's so many different types of OpenWRT LED devices available, it's pretty difficult to sort of get that to scale up. And also, I think that that their current proprietary code as well was something that was homegrown and maybe not as efficient as it might be. There are very few options in OpenWRT apparently to be able to manage beyond traditional management protocols, and some fairly clunky scripts and cron jobs which were pretty resource intensive, didn't work that well. So you would have devices, because a lot of these devices aren't particularly high powered, and they would maybe run out of resources. So they were looking for an alternative solution, and what they wanted to do ideally was to get a unmodified OpenWRT image, which anybody could load on, which is nice and easy for everyone to do, and then actually provide their own Linux module that it could just load into the standard image to give the CT management functionality. They also wanted to make it all open source because they obviously leverage open source themselves through using OpenWRT, and they wanted something that was very lightweight so that it wouldn't place too many resource demands on the devices that they're loading it onto. And the real big advantage of this is it very easily makes hundreds of devices available which can be managed by their management platform. So what they came up with, they've been working on it for quite a while now. They came up with the SocketMan solution, which is basically a loadable Linux module that will plug directly into a standard OpenWRT image that you can get from the OpenWRT site. So you can just go along, get yourself a precompiled binary, put it onto your AP, and just load on SocketMan with an OPKG install command. SocketMan itself will actually collect data from the device that's been installed onto and return all of the data that's collected to the management platform. It's also will apply config changes which have been initiated from the management platform to the device, so it gives you full management of the device, and also they've got some features in there to monitor connectivity issues, to allow custom actions to be taken on lots of things like internet connection, but that requires a little bit more coding. But because this is open, it's an open source agent, anybody could get in there and code it for themselves. As you can see at the bottom there, it's actually GNU General Public License version 2, so it's an open source and it's a community project. I mean, it's live at the moment. They've got a GitHub site. They're getting quite a bit of activity on there, getting plenty of people contributing to it. So they're very keen to have anybody who might be interested in taking part in that to contribute. A little bit more about it. Basically, SocketMan is a pretty lightweight daemon. It's just providing a messaging service. It allows, it basically has got a very small number of lightweight module dependencies, which also need to be loaded on, but the whole footprint of the final solution is still very light. And SocketMan itself is collecting data from the Linux kernel and it's returning it back to the management platform via the messaging service, and all of the data exchanges are just using a JSON data formatting to transport all the reporting and the config updates. So now, because they've got SocketMan, the good news is they can actually just take a standard OpenWRT flash image, load it on to the access point. They can just load on the SocketMan binary, which they'll make available. We'll have to make a few different binaries available for the different architectures which are available, but it's a very small number. Just load it on with the OPKG install command, load on a few binaries, and then the access point will find its way back to a management platform and just be managed by CT. And this is just giving you just a contrasting view. It's very similar traffic flows, but now you can see we've actually got, instead of having one combined binary with the proprietary code, we've got a standard OpenWRT image which loads onto the AP and add on this additional binary, which is the SocketMan binary. So the advantages of SocketMan is huge flexibility for the wider community because it is open source. It also allows other organisations to actually develop their own management solutions for OpenWRT devices. And I know the CT guys have already been in touch with a few organisations in India and Italy who have actually gone ahead and started producing their own management platforms, and they're actively using this. So that's a pretty big advantage. Lots of advantages because it's open source. You can roll your own SocketMan binaries. You can figure out how you'd like, and you can even roll your own OpenWRT images and embed SocketMan. There's lots and lots of flexibility in there, and obviously anything that can support OpenWRT. It's not just access points, whole range of devices, embedded devices. It can manage those as well. So there's a significant amount of flexibility there. So this is the call to action really. SocketMan is already just about in beta. The guys are working on it at the moment. They're hoping to start running a beta trial soon. You can basically go and get an OpenWRT supporting, or a device that supports OpenWRT now. They're going to make some SocketMan binaries available. We can get them on there, have a go, manage them from cucumbertoon. It's free, and see how you get on there. There's a link there if you want to have a look at the SocketMan site. I think it's currently pointing to the GitHub site at the moment. And there's some contact details there for Cucumber Wi-Fi themselves if you want to have a chat with them. Best thing is log into their main site, just create a free account, log in, and they've got a little chat function. They're very responsive, great bunch of guys, really helpful, and they'll be really keen to have you testing it out for them. That's all I've got for now. Thanks very much.
Thank you.